All right there, everyone. Look out, Justin Trudeau. A new study has found that populism is surging in Canada just ahead of their national elections. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. That's right. We're going to find out why Canada is going more and more nationalist populist and how those populist sentiments are already redefining the Canadian political map. But first, we, of course, are huge fans of businesses that support our values, and no one represents those values better than our good friends over at Noble Gold. Now, to commemorate our 45th president, our good friends at Noble Gold have combined their best-selling Trump 2020 Freedom Silver coin with their 10-ounce United We Stand silver bullion bar into an unforgettable twin set for a special discounted price. Go to TrumpCoin2020.com, enter the code SteveTurley25, get $25 off this one-of-a-kind set. But don't wait, this is Noble Gold's most popular combo. They're sure to sell out fast. So click on the link below, order your set for a special discount price today. All right, there is a fascinating new study that just came out from a Canadian university. It's a 61-page study that it's entitled The State of Democracy and the Appeal of Populism. For quite some time now, it was believed that Canada was beyond the populist wave that's been sweeping over the world over the last few years. But some of the more astute analysts have said, don't be so sure. There are definite signs that the populist wave is making its way on the Canadian shores as well. And this study does seem to confirm such suspicions. According to the survey of over 3,500 participants, 70% of the participants believe that the government doesn't care about what ordinary Canadians think. 70%. That's a pretty stunning number, and it's a number that corresponds to a comparable study that was done, I believe, last year on European populations. In a European-wide poll, when asked, do you believe that politicians don't care about me or my concerns? The vast majority of Europeans agreed with that statement, that politicians do not care about me or my concerns. The continent average was 63%. And keep in mind, Europe in their parliamentary elections just had quite the populist revolt. 1 in 3 seats fell to the populists. So Canada's average is even higher, according to this study. The study also found that nearly half of Canadians don't believe that Canada is being governed democratically. Again, this is a key sentiment among populists. Remember, populists want more democracy, not less. They want more referendums. They want more votes. They want more involvement in the way their government works. But perhaps the most significant finding of this study was this. A whopping 80% of Canadians said that they would support a political candidate that stood up for the common people. That's the key, okay? The common people over and against the elite. A whopping 80% said that the people should be governing rather than a professional upper class of government officials. A full third of the survey's respondents said that immigrants, those who just arrived to Canada, should not have equal say as to how to govern the nation as natural-born Canadians. Again, this is a key feature of the new nationalist populism, that natural-born citizens have an innate and special relationship to the nation that first-generation immigrants just simply don't have. Now, the populist sentiments uncovered by this study actually corroborate another study that was conducted by the ECOS research. And that study interviewed more than 12,000 Canadians. And they found that Canada was thoroughly fertile ground for a mass populist movement to take hold. In fact, the study found that less than half of those Canadians sampled actually bought into the whole globalist mindset of open borders and free trade benefiting everyone, that all cultures are equally valuable and meaningful, that all lifestyle values should be celebrated and tolerated and the like. Less than half of Canadians actually believe that, according to this study. The tremendous repudiation of globalist vision. And so this study concluded that we'd better be ready for Canada to begin to turn to the nationalist populist right. In fact, that study was corroborated by a 2017 Edelman Trust Factor study that found that 80% of Canadians surveyed thought elites who run institutions are totally out of touch with regular Canadian people, very similar to the findings of this latest University study. More than half of those surveyed said that they do not trust key institutions like government or media or businesses, which again is a key characteristic of populist movements, where there's a clearly perceived divide between elite institutions and the people. Very, very interesting findings indeed. And also that same year, in 2017, the CBC published an article detailing the rise of right-wing populism on Canada's college campuses. They found posters, flyers promoting nationalist populist slogans appearing on college campuses throughout the nation with increasing frequency. The focus, of course, is on how Canada's losing its unique national values and identity in the midst of unfettered immigration and its globalist leadership. And so they're seeing on college campuses slogans like "Make Canada Great Again" appear with more and more frequency, particularly among young people. Now, this populist shift among the Canadian people seems to explain the extraordinary success that Canada's political right has already seen at the ballot box over the last year. Canada's had at least 5 provincial elections over the course of the last year and a half. And in every single election, Canadians have turned to the political right. The latest, if I recall it was the latest, was Prince Edward Island, right? Where after 12 years in power, the Liberals were voted off the island, as it were, and voters turned to the Conservatives. The victory for the Conservatives in PEI came on the heels of the Alberta elections, which were just a couple of weeks prior to that, where the New Democratic Party was thrown out of office and the United Conservative Party was put into power. New Brunswick's elections preceded that. That resulted in a hung parliament due largely to the rise of the populist People's Alliance. The People's Alliance entered government for the very first time, all the while the progressive Conservatives won the most votes there in New Brunswick. Before that, you had elections in Quebec that ended 15 years of Liberal rule by voting in the Conservative Coalition Avenir Quebec, the CAQ party. And before that, really what got the whole ball rolling here was the blowout election in Ontario, where that's Canada's largest province. And to the astonishment of many, Doug Ford, who's dubbed the Canada's Trump, it was Ford who won the election overwhelmingly as Premier of Ontario. And so all together now, with Ontario and Quebec and Alberta and New Brunswick and Prince Edward's Island, Canada's been turning to the right. And now we're seeing studies showing why it is Canadians are turning to the right. They are becoming more and more populist and indeed more and more nationalist. So as we approach the upcoming national elections in a few weeks, the question, of course, is what does all this mean for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals? We're going to have to see on that one. Right now, the polls actually have Trudeau and the Liberals just a few percentage points ahead of the Conservatives. And now, keep in mind, it was the same case for Doug Ford in the Ontario elections back in the summer of 2018. His Progressive Conservative Party was neck and neck with the Liberals all the way up to the election, but they ended up blowing them out of the water. So we'll have to see what happens here. The problem is that the Conservatives at the national level are really leaderless at this point. They don't have a Stephen Harper or a Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage style leader that can help galvanize the vote. So we'll have to see what happens in the next few weeks there. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on how things develop. But I don't think there's any question here. Nationalist populism has made its way to Canada. Of course, Maxime Bernier's party is explicitly representing this new nationalist populism, but it's a new party, and thus far they have yet to break out of the 4 or 5% support. But there's no question, a new conservatism is indeed rising throughout Canada, and it's going to be absolutely wonderful to watch it grow and blossom. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out some of our awesome accessories that celebrate all things nationalist, populist, and traditionalist that you're going to love at our merch links down below. And please click on either our Patreon subscribes to our PayPal links below and consider becoming a monthly supporter of this channel and help us to continue to analyze current events in light of super awesome conservative trends so that you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. God bless.